My dear 9C, a very warm welcome to Ma'am SATWINDER's online class. So continuing with the next chapter, that is tissues, we'll talk about the various types of tissues, that is the tissues which are present in plants and animals. Now let's have just a quick recapitulation. We talked about a cell in the previous chapter, children, and there also we studied that the plant and the animal cell are slightly different. That is because the plants have to perform the function of photosynthesis, so they have plastids in them and they also have an additional cell wall, whereas animal cells do not have such function, so they do not have any cell wall or the organelle plastids. So also, depending on the life of the plant and animal, the tissues of plants and animals are also different. And tissue is the next level of organization. That is the group of similar cells. We talked about the different types of cells present in the human beings, that is, which have different structure and function because they have to perform different functions. Whereas a group of cells which are similar in structure and origin and which work together to perform a particular function is the next level, that is a tissue. So tissues are a group or a cluster of cells which are similar in origin and which have similar structure and they perform a particular function. For example, some of the tissues in animals are muscles, blood, nerve, so muscular tissue, or the connective tissue, which is one blood, and the nervous tissue. And in plants we have the xylem and the phloem, which conduct food and water and minerals, and so on. So these are the plant tissues. Now talking about the differences in the plant and the animal tissues, children, you know, they are very different. This is because of the functions they perform. So the cells in plant tissues, as discussed in the previous chapter, they are rigid and they are provided with cell walls, whereas animal cells do not have. An important difference is that the plants are stationary, are fixed because they are capable of manufacturing their own food. They've got autotrophic mode of nutrition, so they do not need to move. Whereas animals are dependent, so they have to move in search of food and shelter. So we say that the animals are motile. Another difference, most of the tissues in plant body are dead because they provide only mechanical and supportive function because the plant has to be stationary. They provide the structural strength, and the dead tissues can provide the mechanical strength very effectively because they do not need any maintenance and they do not consume any energy. So that is why most of the plant tissues are dead. On the other hand, animals are motile, that is they move and they are more active, so they need a lot of energy. They need to move in search of food, shelter, and for mate for reproduction, so they require a lot of energy. So tissues in animals, children, are usually living, okay, and then designed in such a way that they support the requirement of a lot of energy, that is they have high metabolism. Then another difference between plant and animals is the pattern of growth. Since most of the plant tissues are dead, okay, so growth in plants is limited only to certain growing regions only, whereas animals, the tissues are living, and so maintenance is required in almost all parts of the body. Next, in plant tissues which are living and dividing, they are found only in the growth regions which are living, whereas that is the shoot and the root tips between the vascular bundles, but major part of the plant body contains just the dead tissue, which provides the mechanical and the structural strength to the plant. And in animals, since there is no demarcation of dividing and non-dividing regions, the growth is uniform throughout. So the organization of the organs and the organ systems is more specialized. So they have special locations and complex in animals than in plants. So this fundamental difference is reflected in the different modes of life which is present in plants and animals. So that is, the plants are stationary, they exhibit a sedentary life, they are fixed and to a place, but animals show active locomotion, which is because of their specialized tissues and organs. So these are the main differences between plant and the animal tissues. Now talking about the type of the plant tissues. So we'll be now talking about the various types of plant tissues in nutshell. So mainly the plant tissues are of two types, that is the meristematic tissue, which are the continuously dividing tissue, and the permanent tissue. Now this is the flow chart of the plant tissues which we'll be studying further. So plant tissues mainly can be divided into two categories, that is meristematic tissue, which are capable of division throughout their life. But some of the cells of the meristematic tissue, they stop dividing, they acquire a particular permanent shape and structure, so we say that they are the permanent tissues. They mature cells, they are incapable of further cell division. Now, meristematic tissue is further of three types depending upon the location where it is present. So, apical, lateral, and intercalary. Permanent tissue now is also of two types, that is simple and complex. Now, what is the difference between simple and complexes? Simple tissues, permanent tissues are the ones which are composed of only some single type of cells, that is all the cells are similar, and they are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Whereas the complex tissues are the ones in which the tissue doesn't have similar type of cells. So there are more than one type of cells, although they all work for a common goal or a common function, but structurally the cells are different in one tissue itself. So this comprises of the conducting tissue, that is the phloem and the xylem. Phloem, as you know, is conducting the food from the leaves to various parts of the plant, and the xylem conducts water and minerals from the roots to various parts of the plant. So they are further made up of different type of cells which have specific names, like phloem is made up of sieve tubes, companion cells, fibers, and phloem parenchyma is also there. And xylem also is made up of four types of cells, that is xylem vessels, tracheates, xylem parenchyma, and fibers. So all these four types of cells in xylem are structurally different but work for a common goal, that is the transport of water and minerals. Similarly, phloem has structurally different cells but work for a common function, that is the conduction of food from the leaves to various parts of the plant. Now, depending upon the place where the meristematic tissue is present, we have three types of meristematic tissue depending on the location. So meristematic tissue is of three types depending upon its location, and they are the apical meristem, the lateral meristem, and the intercalary meristem. So what is the apical meristem? So as you can see from the name itself, it is present in the apex, that is present in the growing tips of the stem and the root. So what do? They increase the length of the stem and the root because they're present on the root and the shoot tip. Lateral meristem, that is, it increases the diameter or the girth. This is due to the lateral meristem, that is the cambium. So they are present on the periphery or on the lateral sides of the stem. And intercalary is also a meristem which is present at the base of the leaves or on the or internodes. So according to location, we have three types of meristematic tissue, like you can see in the picture. So this is apical, that is the shoot tip; intercalary, that is just below the nodes; and lateral is on the side, which increases the girth of the plant, that is the diameter. Now, the type of cells which are present in the meristematic tissue are, because it is a group of cells which remain active and continuous throughout the life, so they have the following features. First is, they are composed of living and very active cells because they have to continuously divide. No intercellular spaces, that is, there is no space between the cells, that is, they are tightly packed. And the shape of the cells is that they're oval, or they're rounded, polygonal in shape. And the cells have very thin cellulose walls, okay, and they have prominent and clear nuclei. Then the cells are rich in cytoplasm and have no vacuoles or very small vacuoles. The reason being that the vacuoles are absent because the function of these cells is only to divide and not to store any material. So they are continuously only dividing and no other function they perform. And you know, we've done in the previous chapter that vacuoles are the organelles which store certain materials. So that is why vacuoles are absent in the meristematic tissue. And the main feature of this is that they have the cells which have a great power of division. So they help the plant to grow in length and in girth, that is the diameter, and almost all other types of tissues are derived from the meristematic tissue, and we say that they become the permanent tissues.